And now, your hosts, Sean Hastings, an independent filmmaker and screenwriter extraordinaire, Jonathan Solzbar, a writer, graphic designer, and voice actor. Together, these fine fellows form Cinema Filibuster.
Well, hey everyone, welcome to the Filibuster. My name is Sean Hastings.
And I'm Jonathan Solzbach.
And we're going to try to talk for 30 minutes entertainingly and informatively about topics galore.
Today's topic is movie quotes.
You know those little things that you get out of movies that you throw into everyday dialogue so you hope the girl at the water cooler thinks you're really cool and then she looks at you like you're a geek and walks off back to her desk?
I have no experience with that. What are you talking about?
It's never happened to me before at all, especially when I quote Star Wars.
Oh, gosh.
The Force is with me.
Well, for those of us who are... For us.
For us.
For those of you listening.
Yeah.
Well, we pick movie quotes because movie quotes are something that pop up in our conversations.
A lot. I can't remember, from day to day what I have to do to survive, Oh, that's right, I have to go to the bathroom. I forgot. If it wasn't part of my autonomic and peripheral nervous system, I wouldn't forget to breathe. But for some reason, dialogue has always stuck in my head, and I don't know why. There are movies that I could do a one-man show. Tonight, at the Orpheus Theater, Sean doing Jaws, the one-man show. And
we don't want to get you started on that.
No Jaws, because I don't quote Jaws, I reenact it.
You live Jaws.
I live Jaws. I eat Jaws.
You use your jaws to eat.
I lose my jaws to eat.
Right. So,
hola, yo soy Jaws.
So movie quotes are very, very important to us. They creep into our conversation. And I think most people use movie quotes to try to impress other people with what they know.
Well, it is the modern literature in a lot of ways. Up to the, late 19th and early 20th centuries, people quoted books. They quoted Shakespeare. But so quoting is not a new
Shakespeare
thing.
Still gets quoted all the time.
Oh, of course, it does. But, movies now are more... And I'm not in any way trying to insinuate that our modern society is illiterate.
But it is.
But it is.
Don't insinuate, just say it.
Just say it out loud. You guys are illiterate. You have to quote something you heard rather than something you read because reading is going away.
I heard it in my head.
I heard it in my head. It's like the guy who said, keep burning things, Sean. Keep burning things. But he
visits you too?
You too? Let's get these guys together and set things on fire. But it is, and it's in the same way that we used to quote books all the time because people would quote, Chaucer and they would quote great pieces of literature, Edgar Allan Poe.
And it shows that you are a learned individual.
Yeah, if you can throw down Lord Byron, then, oh, yeah, he knows what he's talking about. Oh, yeah, ooh, isn't he intellectual? For geek culture, that's the way movies and comic books kind of work.
When you throw out a Star Wars quote, you're hoping, one, that somebody turns around and says, hey, yeah, I know what you're quoting.
Cool, yeah.
And you kind of know who your friends are. If you're in a new place and you say that, someone turns around and acknowledges.
It is kind of the ichthus of the geek world. Mm-hmm. And for those of you who don't get what that means, of course, the ichthus, for anyone out there that knows, is the little fishy on the back of cars that let people know, hey, the person driving this is a Christian.
Is that what it is?
That's what it is. Well, no, but
I was just going to pretend I knew.
Oh, okay. Well, just keep pretending. Oh, yeah. Okay. See, you knew this. Yes, you remember we talked about this when you grew up. No, but in the back in the days when Christians had their heads chopped off for, oh, yeah, I like Christ. What you would do is if you saw somebody in the marketplace or in the in the street or whatever that you thought that guy might be a fellow Christian, you would walk up to them, kneel down on the sand, and draw half the fish. And at this point, they would either look at it and go, "You're crazy," and walk off, or if they would look at it and finish the fish. We are on the same team. Hey, let's see. Would you like to come upstairs? Kind of a thing. And
for tea and biscuits.
For tea and biscuits. No, to me, not. And quotes. See, ooh, we're slipping them in even into the podcast.
There are whole different categories of quotes that you can use in normal speech to answer somebody. Like, I'm going to the store, but don't worry, I'll be back.
Exactly.
Like
yeah. That's a biggie.
It's very simple, but you can use it in almost everybody, even if they haven't seen the movie, they know what you're quoting. The movie quotes that we're going to discuss are quotes that are very popular, but often misquoted.
Oh, yeah.
I'm going to read off a list, or give Sean an idea of the quote, and see how closely he delivers it to the actual quote.
So this is Test Sean. Let's make Sean look like a buffoon once again. All right.
Well, you have such a vast repertoire of knowledge and experience and awesomeness and handsomeness.
Yeah, well, bless you. It never fails, though. The instant somebody utters the phrase, ask Sean, he'll know. No clue. Out the window. Gone. It's some weird, hyper-obscure thing that I've never seen, or something that everybody knows that I don't. Just saying.
All right.
If I fail, it's not my fault.
Apollo 13, go.
Houston, we have a problem, which was in the movie, but Jim Lovell never said, Houston, we have a problem. Right. He did say it appears we have a problem or something, but that is a misquote, a movie misquoting reality is what that's a case of.
So the actual quote is very similar. It's, Houston, we've had a problem. As opposed to, we have a problem. So that's pretty close.
Right. Oh, so that's so it's in the movie, we've had a problem?
In the movie, it's, Houston, we've had a problem.
Oh, interesting. Oh, that's cool.
So people are misquoting the movie and still attributing it to the real guy.
Oh, yeah, we've had a problem.
So that was at number 1, misquoted.
I can agree with that.
Number 2, Dirty Harry.
This is a 44 Magnum. I could blow your head clean off.
It's the end of that famous quote.
You feel lucky? Well, do ya, punk?
This is what I notice about movie quotes. We tend to shorten them.
Yeah.
And make them more succinct. The actual quote is, you've got to ask yourself one question. Do I feel lucky? Well, do you, punk? So never ask, do you feel lucky?
Oh, good point.
Yeah, ask yourself, do I feel lucky?
Yeah, you're right.
It's not as...
Do I feel lucky?
I like the shorthand version.
I do too, yeah.
So Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs, the evil queen looking into the mirror, what does she say?
Mirror, mirror on the wall, who's the fairest of them all? No, I don't know. What is the actual...
It's very similar. Magic mirror on the wall, who is the fairest one of all?
Oh!
Fairest one instead of fairest of them.
Magic mirror on the wall.
Who is the fairest one of all? As opposed, I think the biggest difference is magic mirror versus mirror. Because there was that Disney movie. Was it Disney? Julia Roberts, called Mirror, Mirror.
Oh, right.
So it's title after a misquote.
So it's a title of a misquote. So the title of the film should have been Magic Mirror.
Okay, so Casablanca, what's that misquote?
Play it again, Sam. But he doesn't say play it again, Sam. He goes, play it, Sam.
Even that's not quite correct.
Play it, Sam isn't right. Play it? Go on, Sam.
You played it for her, you can play it for me. If she can stand it, I can. Play it.
Play it. That's Bogart. Bogart can say that sort of thing.
All right,
I sound like Peter Falk now. So it's not Bogart at all.
Columbo.
I'm sounding like Columbo. That's a wonderful pair of shoes.
Is this a kissing story?
It's a kissing story.
Or is it a kissing book?
Is this a kissing book?
I don't know.
That's a good quote, yeah.
Someday you might not mind so much.
Someday you might not mind so much.
All right.
Liar! Liar! Sorry, I always have
Jumping ahead.
All right.
The Empire Strikes Back. Darth Vader talking to his son. What does he say?
Obi-Wan never told you what happened to your father. He says you killed him.
He told me enough.
He told me enough. You killed him. No, I am your father.
Sean has it right. Ding, 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 ding. We haven't really been keeping track because I assumed you would get these all wrong.
All right. Soon you'll be getting them all wrong, which I have up to this point.
Okay.
That's good. No. But one thing, though, one interesting bit about that quote, and of course, if there's geeks listening, they already know this, they had a different line read for Peter Mayhew.
Right.
So he would...
David
Prowse. Sorry, Peter Mayhew. Yeah, I always get they're tall. They're tall. That's easy for you to say, Chewie. But they had a different line for him to say, because, he was reciting the lines. And, of course, he talked with a high-pitched sort of Yorkshire accent, so this is what Darth Vader sounded like on set. Obi-Wan never told you what happened to your father. Obi-Wan killed your father, and that's what he said on set. So that's why everybody, oh, Obi-Wan killed him? Ooh, which he kind of did in a sense. Obi-Wan, who cut his legs off, let him halfway burn to death, and not put him out of his misery.
He didn't kill him, but he should have. It would have been a merciful thing to do.
Don't get me started on that. Just don't get me started on, just cut his head off, man. It could have solved so much. Anyway, sorry, off on the track. But yeah.
Well, now that you mention that, if Vader was trying to to, I know we're getting off topic, but if he was trying to sway Luke to join the dark side,
right,
it would have made sense to say that Obi-Wan killed your father, he betrayed you, so join me.
But
revealing his identity as his father, that's not as much of a compelling reason to join him.
No, and it actually made it harder for him to want to join the Force. That wasn't Darth Vader. That was, and of course, maybe I'm reading far too much into this, but that was Anakin Skywalker wanting to connect with his son.
Well, yeah, he says, join me and we can rule the galaxy as father and son.
Because think about it. That's the first, and
go to Disneyland.
Go to Disneyland.
The happiest place.
Happiest place. It's a world of laughter. A world of... Yes. Good. Your hate has made you Disney-like. But I think that was Anakin Skywalker seeing his son for the first time. Movie quotes.
Okay, so this might catch you by surprise.
Okay.
Jaws.
The movie that I can do a one-man show on, which means I'll blow this.
We're talking about a boat. I think you've already used this quote earlier.
Yeah.
What's the quote people say?
We're going to need a bigger boat?
And it's not correct.
Oh, really?
I know that.
You're going to need a bigger boat?
Did you subconsciously know that, though?
I might have. You're going to need a bigger boat. Yeah, because that's the way I would have said it if I was just quoting it. It sounds like backpedaling. There's people going, he's backpedaling. We'll just say I'm backpedaling, even though I know I'm not, but that's okay.
Okay, that's good enough. All right, I'm guilty of misquoting this one. Field of Dreams, Kevin Costner. It's that mythic line about the stadium that he needs to put together.
Build it and they will come?
Is that what you would say?
Okay, I see where this is going. Build it and they will come. Yeah, that's what I'd say.
Well, I'll just tell you the misquote. If you build it, they will come. And that's what I thought it was.
If you build it.
I've only seen the movie once.
Oh, right.
Actual quote, if you build it, he will come.
Oh, if you build it, he will come. But that's always not the quote I remember from Field of Dreams. It's always, is this heaven? No, it's Iowa.
All right, The Wizard of Oz. Dorothy says to Toto, what?
I don't think we're in Kansas anymore.
And apparently it's wrong.
Oh, throwdown. What is it?
Actual movie quote, Toto, I have a feeling we're not in Kansas anymore.
Oh, cool.
Frankenstein.
Alive, alive. It's alive, it's alive.
Well, this is interesting because I'm looking at the misquote in the actual, and I think you and I would both say it correctly. It's alive! But people say he's alive?
He's alive, yeah. And one more interesting piece of trivia about that quote, in the theatrical release, they cut a piece of dialogue where Henry Frankenstein says, now I know what it feels like to be God. He says, in the name of God, now I know what it feels like to be God. And they, of course, cut that from the release, because in the 30s, people weren't interested in that sort of thing. And that piece of footage was never seen again until the DVD release that they made, and they cut it back in.
Yeah. Gone with the Wind.
Frankly, my dear, I don't give a damn.
And that's correct.
Yes. Ding, 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 ding. Yeah, because everybody says, frankly, Miss Scarlet. That's what everybody thinks it is, right?
That's the misquote, but I've never heard anybody misquote it that way.
Frankly, Miss Scarlet? Yeah, frankly, my dear, I don't give a damn.
Planet of the Apes. Heston doesn't like the way he's being handled.
Get your stinking paws off me, you damn dirty ape!
And it's a misquote.
Okay.
But only by...
Take your stinking paws off me? Take your stinking paws!
We'll give it to the man because he corrected it.
Take your stinking paws off me, you damn dirty ape! Which the reason why he sounded so bad is because he had a flu and a really bad... he had a bad sore throat when he said that line.
All right,
Take your stinking... Sorry. Okay, I'm done.
All right, The Godfather. You said this one earlier.
I'm going to make him an offer he can't refuse.
And you got it right.
Of course I did.
Apparently, people say, I want to make him an offer.
I want to make him an offer he can't refuse.
But you got it right. I'm going to make him an offer he can't refuse.
Yeah, this is Don Vito Corleone.
So that's what, like 4 points now for sure?
Yes, I think it is.
Maybe 4.5?
Make an offer he can't refuse.
Well, let's see here. I believe we were at the end of the list. I skipped a couple that I wasn't even familiar with.
Oh, okay.
So, any particular movie quotes that you're fond of, that you like to work into everyday conversation on a regular basis? Or...
The movie Jaws.
The movie Jaws?
The movie Jaws. I work into conversation every day. No, there's... All
right, you have a quote, and then I'll have a quote, and that way we'll go back and forth.
Okay. A quote that I really like. It's only good in context. You can't really use it unless you could use it if somebody said something really profound. Because it was from Saving Private Ryan. It's when the Army brass are in George C. Marshall's office and they're talking about they don't want to send somebody to go look for this Private Ryan. And General Marshall, who was the head of the Joint Chiefs of Staff at the time, read this letter by Abraham Lincoln talking to a Mrs. Bixby who lost 5 sons. He basically just goes through and he says, the last line is, and I know no words of mine can assuage the grief you feel for having laid so costly a sacrifice on the altar of freedom. You don't get the power of this letter until the very end when he says, yours very sincerely and respectfully, Abraham Lincoln. Anytime somebody says something really powerful, I will kind of look down and go, yours very sincerely, respectfully, Abraham Lincoln.
I've always wanted to end a letter with Abraham Lincoln's name. No, just kidding.
Sure. What are you doing for lunch? Let's go Panera Bread. Yours very sincerely and respectfully, Abraham Lincoln.
Dear so-and-so, I'm breaking up with you, Abraham Lincoln.
Yeah, yours very sincerely and respectfully.
All right, well.
What do you like?
The quote that I use, it's 3 words. From the movie Spider-Man, Norman Osborn, when he's frustrated that the guys at Oscorp are going to have to retool the super soldier.
They're going to start over because it didn't work.
Right. He turns around to his lackey, he's like, back to formula. He's not the Green Goblin yet.
Nobody, he does say that like that, yeah.
And so sometimes in the workplace, when it's like, oh, okay, back to the drawing board, or back to formula.
That's the level of quote that moviegoers like to hear, is the ones that are underneath the, may the force be with you. That's a movie quote that the world knows. People in Pakistan or, people in Uganda quote, may the force be with you. But it's the little ones that are kind of under the surface, the ones that you just kind of barely catch. Those are the ones like that one, like back to formula.
Anybody could have said that. You wouldn't know that, that's from the Spider-Man movie.
Unless you say it like that. So, see, that's always a big thing that I've always... It adds to the ability to get the quote if you can do a passable impersonation of the person who said it.
Like, you can't handle the truth?
You can't handle the truth. Yeah.
You were talking about RoboCop before the podcast began.
Oh, yeah, RoboCop. RoboCop is one of those movies. It was written by a gentleman named Ed Neumeyer. We're talking about the original RoboCop, not the remake, which I did recently see and am not entirely displeased with. It's... No, and I went into it...
How did that date go? Well, I'm not entirely
displeased with her. I'm taking her home to see Ma. Of course, Ma's dead, so that's going to be a problem.
Going to the graveyard.
Going to the graveyard to meet Ma.
I'm going to steal a kiss.
And you're going to meet my mother.
I've got warts, you see?
Actually, that leads me to a quote, and actually taking her to the graveyard to meet Mother.
What?
And it's not a quote, it's a sound.
Okay.
It's from the opening titles of the Texas Chainsaw Massacre. The Texas Chainsaw Massacre starts with black screen and these flash bulbs showing these bodies that have been dug up and put into sculptures. And the sound that the flashbulb makes is... makes this kind of weird noise. I mean, it's really odd. I did actually use this once. My friend Casey and I were walking. We would go walking in the backwoods around, because I grew up in Texas. So there were little warehouses that we would go walking at, and occasionally I'd come across a dead possum, and Casey and I'd look at it and I'd go, because the sound is horrible. The sound,
I agree.
It gives you a gutty sound. But to make a long story short, the has always been a quote that I would use if I see something grotesque and horrible. If I ever do that in front of you, it's, and I'm not talking about you, but if we're ever together,
that's like, how do I look today, Sean?
That's good, but it's a little quicker. It's p-k-I.
All right, another quote that I thought of while we were talking, and my sister and I used to say this to each other often. Basically, we sit down, going to start a conversation, and she would say, "Now, what shall we talk about?"
Oh, tote.
And I love to use that too. I go to coffee with somebody.
It's like,
"Now, what shall we talk about?"
It's very, very, because he's got that. It's really in the front of the mouth. It's like,
and he's sweaty too.
What shall we talk about?
And
yeah. Everybody that talks about him has just great things to say about him.
She and I enjoyed quoting from that movie because my dad owned it, and it was the most violent movie we ownned.
Oh, what's pretty violent?
We have Raiders of the Lost Ark.
Raiders of the Lost Ark. We're living on the edge.
Let's quote that movie that's PG-13.
Let's quote
Well, maybe it was PG.
It was PG, yeah. That was
Okay,
before PG-13.
And there were other quotes, and some of my favorite quotes actually come from Raiders because
Yeah.
they're just so fun. They're not always easy to work into conversations.
Oh, and this is one I like to use, and I use this one very, very sparingly because if I feel gushy or something, if somebody says, "Hey, could you get me a Coke for the thing?" As you wish.
As you wish.
As you wish.
Of course, Darth Vader says that.
That's
Vader, listen. As you wish.
As you wish.
So Moff talking.
I
love you.
Grab off talking. I love you. No. That's a quote I hate. I hate it.
I was thinking today, actually, on the drive over here. That's the one word that Lucas worked into, I think, each episode. Mm-hmm. And yet the one word that somebody should have said to him when he was writing the prequels.
George.
No! Oh. He needed to hear that word, and nobody would tell it to him because he was George the Man Lucas, whom we both love.
Oh, we do. If he walked in the room, I would run up to him, give him the hugest hug and a kiss on each cheek. Just really? Because I would, because I don't know if he'd dig on it.
How many cheeks are we talking about?
Just the two. I love that man dearly because he is responsible for the wonder and joy of my childhood, him and Steven.
When my dad and I were digging post holes in the backyard a number of years ago, we found a slab of, I don't know, the corrugate or something people had buried back there. And
oh, yeah.
They're digging in the wrong place.
Digging in the wrong place.
So we just moved it a few feet over.
That's cool. Actually, when I'm digging, I quote, or when I'm doing something strenuous, this is kind of a quote for Raiders of the Lost Ark.
Is it that?
That's the kick. The hoe.
He'll perform Jaws and he'll sing for you.
Well,
that's John Hastings.
And a corresponding quote from Temple of Doom is the chant of the Thuggee cult, which is actually on the soundtrack. Coram, coram, coram sumaram, coram, coram, coram sumaram. You listen to that thing in a dark room, it'll stand the hairs up on your arm.
Are there any good quotes from Temple of Doom that you can think of off the top of your head?
I'm real small. You achieve very big. That one,
short round.
Short round.
Dr. Jones.
Why wasn't he in Last Crusade? They should have come up because he was great. Short round was one of the best sidekicks.
Oh, here's a quote. I don't know if it's your turn or my turn now.
It's your turn.
Okay. When I was over at school with a buddy of mine, we were both studying English together, and he's a Star Wars fan.
Oh, good.
And we would quote the Star Wars prequels. He enjoyed them when they came out, and now he finds them reprehensible.
They're not reprehensible.
Calm down, Sean.
All right.
Or, sit down, Sean.
All right. Sit down, Sean. And that quote will make more sense to you after the fourth.
But we would end up quoting bits of it back and forth. Obi-Wan's shouting back to Anakin, I think it's Revenge of the Sith. When he's like, Anakin's all pouty, like, you tried to steal my lady, and blah, blah, blah. And then...
That's a good quote by itself.
And then Obi-Wan just says, you have done that yourself.
You have done that yourself, yeah.
I can't think of how we would use it now, but I would turn around and say, you have done that yourself. And
if you're not with me, you're
my enemy.
You're...
Okay, you're against.
No, I was about to say it, and then you stole the thunder and did it perfectly. I applaud you, sir. That was great. You're my enemy. I hereby give that quote to you. You deserve that. That was impeccably done, sir. Thank you.
Yeah.
That will have to be its own podcast one of these days.
The prequels are another source of great quotes. Again, at work, I work at a video production company. We're always quoting movies.
I am not a committee.
But when we're trying to do something or try a different effect or a different presentation or something, we'll try spinning. That's a good trick.
Try spinning. That's a good trick.
This one's a little more obscure.
Okay.
Did you ever see that Jackie Chan movie, Around the World in 80 Days?
I did not.
Well, Arnold Schwarzenegger has a small bit in there.
Really?
And some guy with many wives. I think he's talking to a lady or something, another wife, and he's asking her, do Tuesdays work for you? So
that's nice.
So
okay.
When I'm trying to schedule something on a Tuesday, I want to go say, do Tuesdays work for you? Sort of a...
When I think of good, and sadly, when I think of Arnold Schwarzenegger quotes, the ones that come to mind are from probably the worst movie he's ever done. And that's, hello, Batman, your costume leaves me cold.
Oh, boy.
I don't know why, but that just...
Chill out.
Chill out.
Is it my turn or yours?
It's yours.
I
don't know, but I'm gonna take a stand.
It's a trick. Get an axe.
It's a trick. Get an axe.
I just love that line. Do you know what that's from?
No. What?
Really? Have you seen Bruce Campbell in Army of Darkness? He's been fed grapes by Sheila.
Yeah,
and blah,
by
blah,
Sheila.
blah. And then a deadite, old lady deadite.
Oh!
Or whatever. And they think they've knocked her out, and it's like, it's a trick.
Get an axe. Oh, that's cool. No, I don't remember that quote. That's cool. Back when I had a favorite director, it was John Carpenter. A movie he did called Big Trouble in Little China.
Kurt Russell.
Yeah, with Kurt Russell, and it's him and his sidekick, and are walking up to this bear. It looks like this. It's the doorway concealing an elevator down into the netherworld. They look, and it's sort of an interchange between them. And he looks at it and goes, "Hollow, F it," and cuts it. Anytime I need to do decisive action, I'll just go look at it and go, hollow, get, go through. That's another movie. Big Trouble in Little China is filled with a lot of good. There's a quote where this creature comes out of the wall, and Victor Wong, who plays Egg Shen, the good guy sorcerer, throws this kind of magic grenade in there. It blows up, and the thing goes back, and he goes, "It will come out no more." But that's not the quote. The quote is from, and of course, brilliant. One of my favorite actors is Kurt Russell. Goes, "What? What'll come out no more?" Because he saw it and he doesn't have no idea what it was. What'll come out no more? And they're walking along, and there's this black ooze, and he goes, "That's the black blood of the earth." He goes, "You mean oil?" "No, I mean the black blood of the earth." Because Jack Burton is just this completely oblivious character. Have you never seen it?
I haven't.
That might be our day's entertainment after we're done with this nonsense. Nonsense? How dare you? He's entertaining us, Father.
Let's see. Another Army of Darkness. Lady, I'm going to have to ask you to leave the store.
Shop smart.
Shop
as smart. I need to watch that again. I haven't watched Army of Darkness in a long time.
Name's Ash.
Give me some sugar.
Housewares.
And a quote from another movie is Klaatu Barada Klaatu Barada Nikto.
Necktie.
Nickel.
Oh, it's an N-word.
And here's your test. What is Klaatu Barada Nikto from?
The Day the Earth Stood Still.
Very good.
Which I've never seen.
Oh, dude. It's considered one of the finest pieces of science fiction ever put on film. Directed by Robert Wise, the same guy that directed The Sound of Music. What was killing me there was thinking, the hills have eyes with the sound of music. But it's where was I? But it's How You Turned Off Gort.
Okay, I feel like there's like one or two quotes that we just keep forgetting. That we will think of when we're finished.
There's a lot of quotes. I mean, if we were going to sum this up, we would have to say, I think we've proven the point that movie quotes are
inconceivable that we have
inconceivable
covered so few quotes. But sometimes when I think of a clever quote to say, look around and say, oh, nobody here's going to get it.
I know. But I say it anyway, because then somebody will ask you, what is it, what? And then you can explain it at least in that way, later on.
Oh, you're making a Star Wars quote.
Yeah, oh, wow. Why are you talking like you're from Atlanta? You know people from Atlanta? Oh, yeah. You watch that Star Wars, don't you? That's the one with Mr. Spock. Laser swords and Mr. Spock. And
hairy creatures.
Hairy creatures.
All right, well, I think we're winding down.
I think we are. Well, in short, sum up. What do movie quotes mean to you, Mr. Sulzbach?
Quotes bring people together. Or, in the case of the more obscure ones, just make you stand out awkwardly.
Make you stand out awkwardly like, what's his problem? All right.
We all have our little faults, Sean.
We do.
Mine's in California.
Exactly. We all have our little faults. Mine's down the back of my pants.
Amazing with those legs. With that brain can generate power to move with those legs.
That's great. Oh, that's right. Oh, good grief. Being the Superman fan you are, I might get a backlash from this, but of course, the finest Lex Luthor that has ever seen screen. And you don't have to agree, and we can agree to disagree, because I'm sure whatever choice you would have is equally as good. But to me, that performance was inspired. And the subject for another podcast. Ladies and gentlemen.
You diseased maniac.
You diseased maniac.
I'll mold this box into your prison cell. Bars
thing. Misquote. And again, subject when we do our Superman comparative anatomy podcast.
Comparative anatomy?
Comparative anatomy of
trunks or no trunks. Go.
We're gonna compare George Reeves, Christopher Reeves, and those other guys whose name escaped me.
Christopher Reeve, no S, George Reeves, plural. These are the quibbly bits that I show just how much of a anal retentive blowhard I can be.
Folks, if you could see it, he's got a Superman shirt on right now.
And I have a Superman belt.
Superman belt, which is actually pretty cool, ladies and gentlemen.
It keeps my pants up. And we're all thankful for that, aren't we?
Well, the lack of a girlfriend keeps my pants up. Anyway, ladies and gentlemen, we want to thank you for joining us. Be sure to share this podcast with your friends. Be sure to like it downstairs in the like button thing. Subscribe to the Cinema Filibuster, which is John and myself. And leave us quotes. We want to hear from you. Even if you think we suck. Even if you're a troller that just wants to say something to bolster his own ego.
Hey, we might quote you in the next podcast.
Podquast. Because we quast pods all the time. It's like pod racing, but it's podquasting.
A podcast is about quotes. Podquost.
Podquost.
I did it again.
You did it again.
Podquost.
Podcasting is what happens in a pod race when the engine fails.
And you have a pot roast. It's a podquost.
It's a podquost. You're very true. It's a potluck podcast quote fest quost.
Whoa. Well, thanks for watching.
Thanks for watching now. Ladies and gentlemen, we're going to cut this off before John needs a cookie and a nap. So, ladies and gentlemen, this is the Kwisatz Haderach.
It's your fault.
It's my fault. Oh, it's my fault, is it?
You have done that yourself.
You have done that yourself. Ladies and gentlemen, color us gone.
Adios.